Hey, Sean here from SpeedQBView.com. So I have a video on beginner method and a video on Yao method for 4x4. If you are just learning how to solve 4x4, I suggest you go to the beginning tutorial now, which I'll link in the description. In the Yao tutorial, I basically go over that it's the same thing as beginner or reduction method, but just doing it in a different order to facilitate easier look ahead and execution of the solve. Hoya is no different. Hoya was created by this guy, who's one of the top solvers in the world, and is often used as a major method in 5x5, but is also used in 4x4 as well. Let's go over it. So just for comparison, beginner or reduction method is solving all 6 centers, all 12 edges, and then solving like a 3x3 and hope for no parity errors. In Yao method, you solve 2 opposite centers, one of them being the cross center, 3 of the cross edges, the final centers, the final cross edge, and then the rest of the edges, and solve like a 3x3 hoping for no parity errors. In Hoya, you solve 4 centers, 2 of them being opposite colors, 1 being the cross and 1 being adjacent to it. So you don't solve the top or front. And then you solve the 4 cross edges, then the final 2 centers, the final edges, solve like a 3x3 and hope for no parity errors. So like I said in the Yao tutorial, it seems just random to do it in that order, but the reason is to help with look ahead and to help be able to execute the solve in the most fluid possible way. So I'm going to walk through how this works and the benefits of it. Let's mix up the cube. So for centers, you want to do 2 opposite sides that are not your cross color first. Since I use white as my cross, I'll either do blue and green or red and orange. I highly recommend you practice switching them up so you don't have to rely on the same colors every single time. So for this, I see I've got a couple bars, so I'll do actually red and orange since I already have a bar there too. So I'll make those first, and I'll just do this pretty straightforward. So I've got my red, and then I have my orange. Once you have those 2 colors, the next thing I'll do is solve the cross center, which will be white for me. So I've got this here, and then I move it to the back, and I solve this center. Now, because I'm trying to mix up the colors, I have to figure out what this is going to be. And since I see red on the left and orange on the right, this is going to be blue. Now, if you do the same color every single time, let's say you always solve blue and green and always have blue on the left, you know this is always going to be orange. That can help with being able to know what you have to do right away, but it can make things more difficult if you don't know exactly where those pieces are or what you need to do. So first, let's put this into place. Okay, and now I've got white on center, red, orange, and blue. Now we can go to the cross edges. So the most basic thing you want to look for is that you have one piece on bottom and you want the other piece on top that's opposite it. So I'll just set this up first and show you. So when we have that there, you insert everything with wide R or L moves and U moves. So for example, this one I will insert by doing U prime, L prime, U, L. And if this was on the right side, like this, I would just do the opposite and do U, R, U prime, R prime. And you would do that for all of them. So for example, I would set up green like that, find the other green piece, which is right here, and insert it, since they're opposite, like that. And you do that all the way around. Now there are some little tricks you can do. So the only big issue you can have is when you have the same color on the same side. Now this is an easy fix just by doing either L prime U2 L, and now it's fixed and you can insert it. Or if you need to put it on the right side, you do the same thing, but R U2 R prime, and then insert. So that works fine. You can do that. It's not that hard of a setup, but I like to do a little algorithm because it helps keep the cube a little more centered. And what that is when it's on the left side, I do again wide R moves. I do R prime, F prime, R, F prime, R prime, F, R, and that's it. So you do the exact same thing if it's on the left side. You just do L, F, L prime, F, L, F prime, L prime, and that's set up. So that can move really fast. And so then we have this red center left, And there we go. Now before I move past this, I want to go through a couple little tricks you can do. So if these are set up, let's say I just did blue and red's here, you don't need to move it over, move it down that way. You can just set it up like that. And that's a little bit easier to do and can be a little bit faster. So the other thing is when you have pieces on the side here. Now often you can just kick them out and then insert them. But sometimes if you kick them out when it's here, you'll get that issue. Now, this is an easy setup with doing this, flip, insert, but this can be much faster. All you have to do is, instead of kicking out normally, just do a sledgehammer. And then insert. Okay, now that we have our centers, you're going to finish these final edges, and you do it just like you would for a Yao. First, we need to kick this edge out to the side, so that way we have this free space. And then we insert either by doing wide R moves or slices, and back. And then we solve the final edges. Sometimes you need to fix that cross by doing that. And let's solve these final edges. So I was struggling with Yao because I felt it was so inconsistent switching between steps. It's obviously a fast method, but I wanted to keep the cube more stable and centered. After being recommended to try this by Jong-Ho Jeong, I immediately liked it better. My times are pretty much the exact same as in Yao, but they're much more consistent. So thank you for watching. Leave your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. And as always, stop by speedqview.com for more news and reviews. So let's do a quick walkthrough solve. I'll put the scramble right in the video right here. Okay, so immediately looking at the cube, I can see I've got a blue piece and green pieces connected. So I'm going to do blue and green. And I'll first just set up these pieces. And then for green, I'll set up those. And now I have blue and green. Then I would solve the white center. And since I have blue on the left side, I'll make this orange. So now I've got blue, green, orange, and white on bottom. Now as far as edge pieces, this one's already solved. So I'll just insert it like that. I can see that the red is already going to be there. So I'm just going to move the blue over, move red down, and I'm actually just going to move green down too, since that's where it's going to have to be as well. So then the other red edge, now I move it in front, insert, and move green over. Now before I do anything, I'm going to move this orange one down, because that's already set. Here's green, and then I'll insert it with that algorithm I put in the video, where I go orange is already set, the other orange piece is right here, and again I'll do that same algorithm, and now I have my cross. So I will move this over, finish the final two centers, move it back, and fix the cross. Then we can just go on to our final edges. So you can see some pros of this are that it's really easy to see where pieces are and set them up a little more nicely than when you have all three edges already solved with the cross. The downside is it's a little more moves to set up each piece for the cross, where in Yao sometimes you can do an R or R2 to pair them up and then move them into place. But for me, this seems to flow a little bit more nicely. Now my times are still not amazingly fast, a little over a minute, but this is something that's really easy to switch to and really easy to check out. So if you haven't done Yao or Hoya before, this would be a good place to start. If you've only done Yao, try this for a little bit. See how it works for a couple days, and if you like it, keep it. If not, no harm done. It's not like a whole different method like you would going from C-Fop to Ru. So let me know your thoughts on it. If you have any tips for edge pairing or other things like that, you can leave them down in the comment section below. Now there's a lot of different algorithms you can find for edge pairing to make those just a few less moves, but for right now those few easy setups are pretty fast on their own. So again, thank you for watching.